Welcome back, everyone, to match number 13 of 20, the final game of Miramar for the day. And Cameron, we can already tell the trajectory on this plane just from this angle. It's a far, far, far south plane path.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, it's not the worst. I think we saw a worse plane yesterday on Erangel, but it's still really, really bad, especially compared to the first two maps today on Miramar. But hey, if the pattern continues, we're going to see a circle just on the flat east.
Well, we'll see if that happens or not, but AVANGAR will be departing out of the plane, one of the first teams, again, to do so. Doesn't matter where that plane starts. They like to at least have that early ground advantage, as many other teams are going to be departing out of the cargo hold, trying to find those loot locations. Plane path almost done with its trajectory.
And the thing is that compared to specifically the north, but also a little bit on the west side, a plane path like this, of course, focuses a lot of teams. It may tempt a lot of teams to stick to the south side, but there are fewer compounds down here. It's not as easy to get that many teams down there. And so we're going to see a lot of parachuting people and potentially a lot of teams actually fighting over vehicles. We haven't seen too much drama and chaos happening because of vehicle spawns, but this may be the game to change that.
Certainly could be, as all of our teams are now at least parachuting down to the grounds, trying to find those loot locations. Again, like you said, Cameron, trying to find those vehicles to get to those loot locations if the plane path wasn't favorable for you. And with that Phase 1 pops, it's going to be going down to the southwest. Los Higos is going to be on the southern side of this circle.
Yeah, it doesn't follow the pattern of being where the plane starts, but it follows a pattern of being a hard shift on the first circle. This is really good for Zoekt and Naam, though. They're going to be right dead center. Actually, where the logo is going to be a hotly contested position right over where those two players are. I expect to see a lot of teams actually try and hit south of Chumacera. Whenever you see a circle in this area around this sort of rocky position, you want to be on top of those rocks because it is a lot easier to leave them than it is to get on. But this is still so far south, I don't know if we're going to see anyone baited onto the prison island. But
no.
Some teams may actually run out of options.
Yeah, and that could also be the case. A few late rotators around that southern highway could find their way onto Los Higos. I wouldn't expect no tag team to stay there. This is just going to be a loot phase for them as we soar around the map. Reciprocity going to be pulling off a Cruz de Valle. They likely could have gotten there off of this plane path, but again, that Monte Nuevo spot going to be a little bit more convenient.
I'm looking at AVANGAR right now. They got two players up on the north that are only just now even reaching Campo Militar. Or if that's where they're going, they could just be going around to Tierra Blanca. It's not going to be a friendly rotation for them. They saw the plane and they wanted to get out early, but the pressure from all members of PG-18 being right there means that they don't have the flexibility to loot with all four players up in that little corner, and so they have no option but to send two of the players up far north. And they're only just now arriving. Like their rotation timing, transition timing is going to be super, super slow. They will have the freedom to go just across that northern highway and down on the west side, but they're going to be arriving incredibly late. And if any team I don't think any team's going to camp that entrance up on the northwest of the circle, but if any team is pushed away from the center of the circle, it could be really bad for AVANGAR.
The Ferrari Breacher is going to be holding on to Picado. You saw Desperados. They continually try to track Picado just to make sure that the Breachers are going to be landing there, but then they always spread out towards that power plant area just to the north and take a very kind of a 1-1-1-1 split to get that maximized loot efficiency. As the rest of the Breachers continue to work their way, though, through Picado unscathed and uncontested, the rotation starts to come out from at least a few squads. Beşiktaş continues along that East Coast highway from north to south. This is a squad that you will look to see try to make at least an eastern entry on the southern side of this circle. If they go straight through Los Leones, it could be a dangerous proposition.
Yeah, they actually are looting up a good position to actually go south and come in from the southern highway, but just look at the trajectory on the map. They might actually be aiming to go through Los Leones, which is always a risk. Seven and Northern Lights, they are going to leave that city where they both have been looting up at and trying to get towards center, but it's still, I don't know, you're still losing a lot of potential for vision and scouting ahead if you go that way.
Blue Zone has started to encroach on phase number 1, so AVANGAR, at least with two members all the way up in Campo Militar once again. It's been a few Miramar matches since we've seen them up there, but they will have made it, and now we'll have to make it all the way to the opposite, complete opposite end of the map to find it to safety. Already going to be sending Asverin down that East Coast highway to the south, and Nuktiv going to be following up. But this is going to be a very spread out, a very separated transition for that AVANGAR squad.
Yeah, you just got to make do with what you get. I mean, that's the name of the game in PUBG in general, but especially for this time around, I don't know what sort of plans you can even make if you're in their situation. They just got to get into the circle and kind of play off of that. They certainly can't sort of plan ahead.
Picado quickly emptied out by the members of Ferrari Breachers. Blast on and the rest of Unity rolling through that squad, and then followed up by Vitality, as everyone is just trying to make their way down to that centralized area of phase number 1, where those brown cliffs, you can see them on the minimap, the unique cliffs here of the Miramar map. You don't see them anywhere other than this southwestern region, really, and they present kind of difficulties of their own. Incredibly steep hills, incredibly open hills, not a lot of cover for teams to maneuver off of should they have to adjust.
It's really hard to control just because with how rocky and rolling the hills are, you have a limited line of sight, and so it on one hand it does allow for a number of teams to actually get closer to each other than you would in other parts of the map, but that also means that once the fights do start breaking out, once the game gets later, the circle gets smaller, the fights that break out could be incredibly chaotic.
One of our first engagements of the game with all 64 players alive at the 6.5-minute mark. It's going to be no tag team. O'Connell and the rest of the squad able to find at least a few connections, a few opportunities to take those shots onto Team 7. A few of these members of 7 will be kept at bay. Francario and the rest of the crew will be popping out of their vehicles to try to spot out their aggressors.
7 is going to be backing off, it looks, right now. Don't want to sit too heavily in this position because, well, no tag have a really nice high ground position and actually a nice split spread as well. O'Connell trying to get some more shots with the M24. Not going to land just yet.
More rotations coming out. 7 going to be departing the area, but coming into that area is actually going to be the likes of Beşiktaş. As our first blood comes out, it's going to be Vasco and Ivo of Zoekt and Naam working on Melman of Tornado Energy. They're going to be losing the first member of this game, and Tornado will have to at least continue on with 3 alive. At this early of the game, Cameron, that's not exactly what you want to have happen, but the shots come out now as Eros gets tagged down. Eros has gone out early every single game so far today. It's got to be wearing down on him.
Well, I mean, they won with 3 in the end of last game, but this opening engagement, opening frag by 7 to start this engagement out, really not what they're looking for.
Certainly not, and now those 3 remaining members that at least were able to push into the late game and win. Game number 2 will be in a very similar situation at the opposite end of the map. Most of our teams have found their way inside of this phase except for PG-18, Riddle, AVANGAR, and Quickmath, who are still trying to work their way down to the south.
And see, this is actually a big parallel to the very first game. Not only was it Eros as the player that went down, they also, no tag, tried to go for a split hold and got punished for it. If you can't hold the split confidently, consistently, then you just shouldn't do it. You need to just play as a group on a single point.
Certainly a lot goes into a split, and certainly the strength of your individual players will be one of the biggest factors in your success.
They may even lose a second right now.
Otherwise, going to be spotting out Jupezic down on the hillside, the base of the hill. Also going to be pinched in between Tomala, Beşiktaş, who's got the SKS primed and ready on the riverbanks. Will be trying to spot out at least either squad, really. That'll do. Kills on either Jupezic or 7 will certainly work in favor of Beşiktaş, as more squad members of this team will be rolling up. Simzi in a very vulnerable position.
On one hand, 7, if they go too heavily on the Jupezic, Beşiktaş could punish that. Beşiktaş being here could also push 7 away, but in either situation, Jupezic is not in a great spot. Crab's taking a lot of damage, going to be deploying a smoke directly into the tree because he doesn't want it to roll down to the hill, and it's going to give him a little bit of an opportunity to start to heal up. But retreat is going to be a little rough. We can see that the next circle, it's a pretty heavy shift, considering where most of the teams were. Down to the southwest, the island is still in play. That river in between is still in play.
And it could present some challenges for some teams. AVANGAR still making that very far rotation off of the southeastern edge of Miramar. Beşiktaş going to be continuing on, at least along.
Ooh, nice shot.
This southern edge of the shots come out. Tornado Energy, who lost a member early on, the first blood of this game, trying to get some revenge as they spot out Fake. But the kill going to be stolen away. T-Bone of Zoekt and Naam is able to capitalize on that and pick that one off.
Sample. TauZero definitely saw this player. He's going to stop out to try and take the engagement. A lot of shots at range from multiple squads. Unity. And actually, Example is going to be able to find TauZero. That's 2 down for Desperados.
I mean, if you look at the position that Tau Zero was in, he was pinched in between two members of Tornado Energy. Definitely not where you want to be. No tag. Again, able to at least keep 3 alive. Jupezic was able to stay alive on that southern coast, but they are very spread out once again, continuing to draw these parallels to the previous game. Hell, it could work out for him, Cameron. You know, if it worked in the previous game, it's sure to work in this game as Zoekt and Naam continues to pound out shots. Tornado Energy going to be the subject of this aggression as they stop off at the base of the hill.
Everyone's just trying to go for kills right now, and that's actually a very good use of time considering this terrain.
Ooh.
And what everyone is going to basically have to do. A good nade deals a lot of damage to Krama, doesn't get the knock though, but Nace is also taking a lot of heavy damage. It's a good start for PGA team if they want to force this fight, and actually it wouldn't be a bad idea to do so. Yannick is able to get ahead of Vitality. They could get a surround on these guys.
Continuing to pop off more shots. Shadow 1K trying to be the savior for his squad, trying to keep the members of PG-18 at bay. And at least for right now, they will be able to do so as PG-18 makes that rotation. Blue Zone working its way in on phase number 2. And Vitality will thankfully be able to recover off of what could have been disastrous for 2 of their members.
Yeah, PG-18, they didn't necessarily know how much damage they had done. If they got a knock or two, it's possible that they could have gone for the engagement, but because Yannick just barreled through them, and he's actually, it looks on the minimap at least, that he's able to find a position to hold out in, he's just going to call the rest of his teammates with him. Riddle, though, losing a player, losing Horror, they're pushing through Unity.
Riddle needs to stop losing players early. That's what's really hurting them, at least in these games, and trying to make those top 10 performances and trying to pick up those points.
Just don't die easy.
Well, the rotations have been the key component to their deaths. I mean, you got to try to shore up those rotations. Sure, Riddle didn't expect to find themselves here in the promos, but now that they have, all the pressure is on their shoulders. At least one contenders team, Cameron, is going to be moving up by the way this tournament is structured, and that lends itself to a bit of exciting times, especially given the fact that we see 3 of those contenders teams in the top 4 right now.
AVANGAR here just, you know, we've talked about the situation at the very beginning of the game. We can still see the results of that. They're forced essentially to come in through Los Higos, and luckily they're the only team around this area. But that's still not the situation they want to be in, because more than likely they're going to have to cross back over to the mainland. Simzy, a good shot onto Nemrez, is going to knock another player of PG-18 out.
This AVANGAR rotation, though, isn't bad. It's going to provide them the opportunity to continue all the way over towards Valle
It's not
Del
bad
Mar.
in the situation that they get into the circle.
Shots coming out. Northern Lights going to be aggressing up onto the members of No Tag Team. Jupezic still in that very split location. Will be dropped down and is out of sight and out of reach of any of his teammates to provide that support. Nade lands right under his belly. Will be blowing up and blowing him out of this game. 2 remain for No Tag Team. With all 16 teams still alive, it's been another scrappy early game for this lobby.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what this sort of terrain, this part of the map lends itself to, is a very, very scrappy game. Zoekt and Naam still with a really good position, though. Really close to center. It's a compound. It's on top of a hill. It's really all you need to ask for, and that's what they need to start to get back into this event.
Phase 3 shift is going to be a little bit north off of center, but this is definitely going to give AVANGAR at least that necessary push across to the west to reach in to Valle Del Mar. Zoekt and Naam going to be spotted out. Ferrari breaches Edgecause with the M416 shots, finds Ivel. Zoekt and Naam has been so critical in this early game, already picking up multiple kills, but now they're trading it back out. Oko going to be going back down as Page retreats, trying to reset the position. Nades are starting to fly, smokes and frags, both going to be the landscape.
Page gets the knock and immediately backs off and primes his own frag grenade. That one, I am really surprised that that one didn't knock Edgecause. It looked really nice. He's actually going to back off. I don't know if Ivel's going to get picked up or not.
Washout trying to throw some nades on the flank positions, just trying to apply the pressure onto Zoekt and Naam. They don't want to take this engagement after losing a little bit too much at the onset of it. The res comes out. Ivel able to safely retreat with Page back down the hill from whence they came into the smoke to first get the first aid off and then back down to the squad.
Over here on Quickmath, this Quickmath Riddle engagement. Zinsan here, I believe the last player of Riddle. No, but he's just really isolated. Quickmath is surrounding him. He has really no opportunity to do anything other than try and go for this 1v3. And if he's able to land it, that's a good number of kills, but Clib needs to come and help out somehow.
He doesn't necessarily need to peek just yet. He hears the footsteps, and Quizzy's going to be spotting out Yannick of PG-18. A few shots coming through the shack. Not able to find the connection, and the reposition comes out for a different perspective on that location. Northern Lights, though, beginning to choke out the location of the other members of PG-18. They've got them definitely in their sights. The question is, will they be able to find the kills?
PG-18 still have 3 up. They're sort of trying to split everything out. And around Quickmath, they're actually backing off of this engagement with Riddle because the circle is coming in. They don't want to take any more damage from the blue than they already have this event. We already talked about how they're really high up on the blue damage. Or was it the damage or the timings? Either one. They don't want to be involved in that sort of zone. Yeah, Quickmath. They don't want to be involved with the environmental damage at all. But they
those two kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, they do. But they actually, by doing so, they end up putting themselves below Riddle, and Vitality are also here to deal damage to them.
That they are. Riddle trying to have a much bigger game here. Vitality's Jazza able to find the grenade connection onto Tuho Juho. Another member of Quickmath goes down as the members of the Ferrari Breachers from the northern side of the hill spot out Vitality. The third-party engagement comes out as Riddle Esports going to at least be putting some pressure onto the two remaining members of Quickmath. You can see the pinch coming out on the eastern side of the circle where this next phase shifts over to. A hard shift to the northeast will be centering onto the compound atop the hill where Zoekt and Naam currently sits.
Listen, the last circle shift actually worked out very, very well for AVANGAR. The risk was if Reciprocity wanted to take that hill that you see Desperado's currently retreating from. But then now they got to cross the water. Then the circle's like, you know what? We gave you too much of a helping hand last time. We're going to hard shift way away from you. And this is really good for Zoekt and Naam.
Yeah, I mean, AVANGAR really knew the circle had to go away from water at that stage in the game. Phase 4 is in full effect here as Riddle continues to hold on to the northeastern side of the circle. Still looking down at the members of Quickmath who have kept two alive, but the shots from Vitality continue to come out, and so do the shots from PG-18's Diaz. Able to find the connection onto the team that was surrounding them on the hillside. Quizzy going down.
It's a momentary reprieve, but you can already tell that he knows he's not going to be able to get too much from it. He's hoping that Naleb can crawl over to him, but he's bleeding out below half HP on that. Nade come out, almost gets to the shack. Yannick is here, though, from PG-18, though. Gets a second knock. Perfect and Oko left.
Good find, too, here. Molotov going to be coming out as well, and Perfect and OK Bro likely going to be pushing up, trying to res their teammate, but no, not going to be able to find it onto deep as the nade comes out and connects and flushes that member of the squad out of the game. Kill feed continues to light up. Pelt's going to be knocked down for Quickmath as the fight rages on here at Northern Lights, trying to keep the remaining members of PG-18 at bay. Diaz and Yannick trying to do whatever they can to at least find some return frags and apply the pressure back in that direction. Both teams having to depart this far southeastern location.
Yeah, Northern Lights are in a rough situation right now, but looking back over here onto Riddle, Quickmath, Vitality, sort of menage a trois. Mize's the only one left from Quickmath. Riddle is able to, find some sort of foothold here, having to deploy smokes, but they have a quick path into the circle, even though it is only on the edge. They want to try and get this point off of Mize.
1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock for the blue zone. Reaching in, headshot connection comes in from Vitality onto Mize through the shack, and that is going to desperately be putting him in a position to try to get some meds off as we look at a replay coming out from Riddle Esports, who was able to get a nice frag onto Pelts. This was when they were extremely pinched in between Vitality and Riddle Esports, but the kill feed continues to light up. Yannick able to find one onto Perfect. They did lose Naleb. They were able to get the res, but Northern Lights finds him once again.
But here is no tag team, actually, dealing a lot of heavy damage in return. They pushed onto this. They want to get the kills because the push into the compound just north of them is held by GamerLegion. But back over here, Beşiktaş had to push in towards the west. They pushed up the highway and actually are barreling down onto AVANGAR. But look, here's Calvin Klein from Desperados.
Oh, Tommel heard the footsteps or heard some indication that a player was pushing up. Into the bush he goes and is able to at least avoid Calvin for the time being as their shots come in for the remainder of Beşiktaş. The information was fed from Tommel and it pays off in spades, but now Tommel finds himself under fire. A connection or two coming out from Inactive. That Mini 14 ringing true with the 5.56 rounds as Calvin gets spotted down and out. Out go Desperados in 14th place.
Beşiktaş still have a really good position to try and punish AVANGAR. AVANGAR are trying to move right now with that distraction, trying to get inside the circle. But nonetheless, over here, Ferrari Breach still 3 alive. We're overlooking the engagement, the long engagement that's been happening between Vitality and Riddle. Both of those squads don't want to commit too heavily right now because we only have 10 seconds before the next circle reveals itself.
Phase number 5 is going to be all important as Northern Lights find themselves eliminated in 13th place here in the third game of the day. The last game of Miramar. Shift comes out on your minimap. You can see down to the far south. We will be hard shifted, and teams that went north are going to be finding themselves going back down and possibly facing off against more teams that have rotated towards centralized positions as Vitality engages onto the remaining members of Riddle, and then down to the south, but Beşiktaş spots out AVANGAR, who did rotate out of Valle de Mar.
Yeah, but I don't know how they're going to rotate out of here. They have to climb up a really, really steep hill, and you got the long-range scope from Beşiktaş looking down on you. Azrin gets finished and flushed. It's not looking good for AVANGAR right now. They've made it this far, which is admirable considering their early situation. They're going to have to pull out some amazing maneuvers if they want to get out of this one. Max is going to want to have to click some heads real quick with that M24.
Yeah, they don't even have any vehicles to try to make an attempt up for a
Nada.
northern rotation. Will be left to their feet, left to their guns to try to find an opening. A window of opportunity would be in the form of a knock, and Maxizor is trying to find that just now. A good blockage of line of sight, though a bit of defilade going to help them in making that northern transition as Reciprocity now starts to show up on the kill feed. Haxede with a knock onto Recrant will be able to find the flush with the SKS.
This is an interesting split by Reciprocity. They have Shiv already in the circle, and the rest of the members have to come in from behind. This is a really good spread along this hillside if they can hit their shots, but we've seen spreads get punished before. Looking over at Tornado Energy, though, they have a similar situation, though inverse. They left Example outside of the circle to get a crossfire with the remaining teammates in the circle across that road, and they're tearing AVANGAR apart.
Inactive just pinned down behind this rock. Example continues to apply the pressure to the left and to the right. Inactive really left with nowhere to go, and Alyag, the flank position, will be able to find that line of sight, dropping down AVANGAR in 12th place. Won't be able to find that consistency here in game number 3 of the day.
Oh, Shiv just deletes Hannah, bro. Riddle tried to swing up north, not only pulling away from Vitality, but it also potentially gave them the opportunity to third party more other squads engagements, but Shiv is performing way too hot this week.
Beşiktaş going to be aggressively pushing into the compound where 7 was holding. Ultra able to find the entry frag into this compound as Lux under siege, going to be wrapping around the building, or rather the hillside, not able to find it, will be knocked down as Zoekt and Naam is able to apply the pressure from inside of the circle. That high ground position continues to pay off for Zoekt and Naam, who are just picking kills off left and right.
If they extend themselves too much, if they try and control too much of this map at this point in the game, they could lose too many players by taking too many engagements at once, but they are still going to maintain themselves 4 up, while Shiv just basically deletes Riddle by himself. Krama did steal that first kill, so instead of 4, Reciprocity only have 3, but they have 4 up, and they have good control of their current area. It's going to give them a really good opportunity to pick up a lot more points this game.
Cameron, I've got an observation. Riddle is not an edge team. That's definitely my observation from seeing their play, at least on the first 3 games of today. Beşiktaş able to work their way into the first floor of the building. On the second floor, going to be Crab. You see him leaning, watching that stairwell. Pretty much calling Francario and Buster over, saying, I need help. First floor definitely going to be heavy with invaders. Zoekt and Naam going to be spotted out. Raffi with the Mini 14 might be taking the opportunity to pop some shots here soon if he can get some support from his members. Zoekt and Naam has taken a few casualties so far this game, but the battle rages on here. Buster able to find it, and that's going to be Beşiktaş as quickly as they entered into that building. Almost wiped out. And then they go in 9th place position. 8 teams remaining. The remaining 8 teams have found themselves at least securing a placement point moving forward.
That was a really good approach by 7. They had the player in the building, basically watching the stairwell, and unless he said that they were forcing themselves up that stairwell, they knew they were on the ground floor, but instead of rushing in, they actually just scanned around the windows and cornered them.
You push them in, maybe force them up the stairs. You got all angles covered. Reciprocity Shiv continues to have a great game after great game after great game. Able to find a headshot connection with the Scar onto 1. Looking for another member of Zoekt and Naam, but instead T-Bone is able to find the connections, putting Shiv on his back foot, but the breach could be coming out after these nades.
You see, this was the split that I was worried about. Spread a little too thin, and actually Reciprocity able to get super close to them. T-Bone and Vascu are in basically entirely separate engagements, but Vascu opens up the first one with the down and a full finish as well into Haxede.
What's behind door number 1? Well, it's Vascu with the AKM prepped and ready to spray into your chest. Haxede, the recipient of those shots. Now Reciprocity tries to at least find something, but another one coming out from Vascu from door number 2. Rather, window number 2, as Raffi goes down and out. Zoekt and Naam picks up their 6th kill of the game. Vascu his 2nd, and both were on Reciprocity, who the other 2 members sit across from this compound in the warehouse. It's going to be a bit of a standstill as teams start to make their way up the base of the cliff. 7 behind Tornado Energy.
Tornado Energy moving up. I heard the engagement in that building. Trying to punish it, trying to third party, well, not third party because the engagement was over, but they're certainly punishing the lack of super forward positioning by 7, who's also getting shot from behind by still the remaining 2 players of no tag. They lost a player super early on, but they've been making it work reasonably well so far.
Yeah, there's something about this squad where they almost perform better when they have less members.
Nades just aren't killing people anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need nade nerfs. They're leaving people at 20 HP all the time. I don't know what you guys on the internet are talking about.
Maybe there was just a hidden nerf that went out on the
on the LAN client.
Yeah, that definitely happened. Not. Anyways, though, 7 going to be rolling up the hill, still continuing to try to both avoid the shots from No Tag Team, but also keep the pressure strong up the hillside where Tornado Energy looks to keep them at bay. Next shift coming out here in just a few seconds, and this is going to be an all-important one for the final 8 teams in this lobby. Almost a hard shift down to the way south as Reciprocity's final 2 members, Shiv and Scoom, going to be taken out by Ferrari Breach.
Give it, trying to finish off Rancario. He's actually able to get a revive on his teammate that got taken out by, I believe, GamerLegion just previously. And now they're in a really good position. The shift obviously goes heavily in GamerLegion's favor, but it's really good for No Tag as well. They can just third-party this fight, try and deal some damage to Seven, who already got removed from the server, and now Tornado Energy, and they don't need to move too far to get into the circle as long as they're able to keep line of sight from GamerLegion broken.
Ferrari Breach has 3 alive. They're going to be looking down the hillside onto the 2 remaining members of Vitality. Kramer and his teammate trying to hide behind the tree, but reveals his shoulder. One shot going to be finding the connection with the Mini 14, 25 damage applied, but GamerLegion comes in for the third party and is able to combine not just some damage onto the members of Ferrari Breach, but also a knock onto Nass's Please. Kramer going to be the only remaining member of this Vitality squad alive, and the pressure just actually amplified tenfold on his shoulders. Vitality needs to come up with something here in the third game.
The blue is actually moving a lot faster on Ferrari Breach's end, so Krema's getting a lot of work done. He already gets 1 down. He's going to have to keep moving, but the smoke allows him to do so. He's actually get the lineup for Ferrari Breach when they leave and they walk out.
This should be easy cleanup for Krema, especially with his skill. He's able to find, well, the blue zone takes out Washout, but he's able to find 2. Rezu and Edgikaz will be going over to the kill feed of Vitality. Ferrari Breach out in 6th place position, and Vitality continues on with just Krema alive.
I mean, Kramer tweeted out before this match started that, you know, he's about to wake up and to see him on top.
It's the Yeezys. No Tag Team going to be under fire here as GamerLegion Hamster going to be putting out some Scar Spray in his direction. Not able to find the connections. A little bit of smoke concealing the position of No Tag Team as they try to snake their way across these wide open hills. Give it going to be dropped down to 13 HP as more Mini 14 shots continue to rain down in his direction. All it's going to take is 1, and who will be able to find it? No one as of right now as the first aid gets deployed. 75 HP for Give It as he continues on this snaky path.
So when I said that this circle shift helped No Tag, I failed to realize that they were actually having to move straight into a field, and that's why you see them get taken out by GamerLegion, because there really wasn't a lot of places to go. I said they had to keep the line of sight broken. Impossible to do it in this situation without a liberal use of smokes. Zoekt and Naam here, he's going to deny himself to the blue right now. He recognized that it was in a really rough spot. He was going to have to do the exact same thing, push into a field. Not going to happen. T-Bone is still alive. But GamerLegion have this entire game in the books, essentially, unless Tornado Energy can come up with some sick shots. But they're in the middle of a warehouse, in the middle of a barn, essentially. Really good hard cover that still gives them maneuverability to move around and find different angles.
4 teams remain, 9 players alive, as GamerLegion continues to at least keep the numbers advantage as well as the positional advantage on everyone else here in the lobby. Solo player for Zoekt and Naam, solo player for Vitality, and then the 3-strong squad of Tornado Energy off of the far western edge, who are beginning to slowly but surely make their way into phase number 8. This is the landscape for the final phase coming up next here in just 3 or maybe a little bit longer than that. But phase number 9, the ultimate collapse of the blue zone, where teams are going to be forced to fight for that centralized position. And as it stands right now, GamerLegion is looking like they could be taking this one away unless they screw something up.
Kramer's trying to open something up for himself, but it's not going to work out, taking a lot of damage. Tried to go back to the blue, but Macindark is able to find him at the last second. I'm liking this rotation by example by Tornado Energy, trying to spread out and try and find a crossfire into GamerLegion. The center of the game is going to be just outside the barn, and that gives a heavy advantage to the GL boys.
T-Bone of Zoekt and Naam with a little more room to work with.
Crawl,
Molotov on the right side of Compo won't be igniting him just yet, but the grenade's going to be flying in as GamerLegion continues to pound out pressure into the direction of where Tornado Energy is approaching. Alyag going to be spotted out. A few Mini 14 shots coming out from that direction as Macindark goes on the ultimate flake into the field, going to be able to spot out Example. A few shots, not able to find their connections, but certainly drawing the attention of Example right back into Macindark's position. A few shots going to be ringing true for them as Bjorn finds a nice tag onto Example with the headshot.
Example needs to come up huge here. But he's not finding the opening that he needs to, and that's causing the rest of his teammates to actually try and push up north, and they may be running directly into T-Bone. GamerLegion, they only have 4 kills, but again, unless something goes well for Tornado Energy in terms of finding an opening shot, finding an opening pick, this is going to be a GamerLegion game.
Certainly is looking like it is going to be that as we enter into the final collapse. Tornado Legion continues to be under fire by the likes of GamerLegion from the safety of the compound. Fex able to find the Mini 14 headshot onto Example, with after that helmet taking so much damage from Bjorn, will be knocking him down and out as Zoekt and Naam gets eliminated in third place position. Truly 2 teams left now. It's going to be GamerLegion versus Tornado Energy. It's a 4v2 scenario, and GamerLegion definitely is favored here. They're going to be looking for trades, but Fex is able to get the knockdown. He's going to be going out, not able to provide anything for his team as Bjorn dropped down very low, but they find Compod. They find the round victory. Chicken Dinners going over to GamerLegion.
Just a really good hold of their position at the end. Tornado Energy, though, a good number of kills for them up until the very end of the game. So a good performance by everyone who was there in the final stages. But controlling that barn with that field, and then even sending the 2 players on top of the hill just north of that barn, it was... GamerLegion had that game in lock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. By positioning almost alone and then just putting out pressure, teams were getting absolutely decimated on the edges of that circle, Cameron. We saw Vitality, we saw Quickmath. Even Zoekt and Naam really started to feel the hurt on the northern side once Reciprocity pushed into that compound.
Well, what was really good about GamerLegion there is that they didn't overcommit to the fights.
Yeah.
They didn't overpeak and just expect that because they were in a building that they couldn't get taken down. They made sure to... They didn't necessarily have to go for the kills immediately. They just needed to go for the pressure.
Right.
Even if you don't land a headshot, if you just land like a shot on the arm or a shot just like past their head, that still keeps them from being able to push in onto you.
Let them know you have the lines of sight.
Yeah.
That's the least that you want to do. Definitely you want the kill points. You want to try to get them, but positioning is always going to be key here in competitive PUBG, in a great game, a great show of strategy and force coming out from GamerLegion.
It's always just super rough trying to rotate yourself around that area of the map. You said it during the game that it was very, very scrappy, and you want to talk about Miramar rotations being incredibly difficult compared to Erangel. It's even worse in that area. Once you get onto those mountains, you're basically can't really use a vehicle at all.
No.
Like your running speed is almost as fast as your average vehicle speed in that area of the map, and it's not as loud, so there you lose all reason to use a vehicle basically once you hit like circle 3.
Yeah, and one team that wanted a reason to use a vehicle or just wanted a vehicle was AVANGAR. And the reason why they didn't have them, Cameron, rotating all the way from that Campo Militar position down that East Coast highway, along the southern bend, all the way through Los Higos. I mean, when they found themselves on that far southwestern edge in one of the later phases, pinned down by Tornado Energy, there was nothing they could do there.
Yeah, they tried to push up when they were falling away from Beşiktaş, but example there by Tornado Energy, holding that field is a really good play by Tornado Energy even before they got into the late game. But that long rotation just ruining the gas.
Yeah.
The gas mileage on these vehicles on Miramar and Erangel are not the greatest.
And it's about to get worse.
It's about... Is it?
Yeah, patch notes, baby. Woo!
Oh, yeah, I missed that part then.
Yep, patch notes, at least for some of the vehicles.
That's,
definitely, you need to take a look at that. You definitely need to read the 4.1.
I thought it was just the Murata that's really being nerfed.
Yeah, there's a few vehicles that are taking some gas mileage hits to it.
What?
And if, you know, it's a big patch.
You can't give us circles like you
old
can't
patch.
give us circles like that and then nerf the gas.
I know, right?
Like, come on.
That's rough.
I mean,
or you just can't land in those polarized positions. This might be something that AVANGAR has to consider.
You want like
as we
all
continue
16
on.
teams to land in Picado?
Well, no, but I think that Miramar, an 8x8 kilometer map, just like Erangel, is big enough under the super settings for teams to not have to be forced into those angles. But let's take an interview with Mustache Dave and the likes of GamerLegion, who came up huge.